senior national correspondent John Roberts and what happened when the Donald met the Speaker. Good evening, John.
Doug, good evening to you. It was a charm offensive the likes of which Washington has rarely seen. The presidential candidate who shattered the mold now try to put back together the pieces of a fractured party. He has built buildings and golf courses, resorts, and enormous wealth. Today, Donald Trump came to Washington to build bridges with Republicans, especially House Speaker Paul Ryan.
I think for the most part we agree on a lot of different items, and we're getting there. I feel very strongly about border security. I feel very strongly about trade. I feel very strongly about building up the military. And, you know, to a large extent, I think Paul is there also.
Trump arrived in the nation's capital amid deep suspicions of his intention and sharp opposition to some of his proposals. Ryan was particularly offended by Trump's plan to ban Muslims from entering the country. But after Trump softened his stance in the hours preceding the meeting, Ryan found reason to be optimistic.
I was very encouraged with what I heard from Donald Trump today. I do believe that we are now planting the seeds to get ourselves unified, to bridge the gaps and differences.
Even though Ryan says the two got along very well, he is still not yet ready to jump on board the Trump train.
I was very encouraged with this meeting, but this is a process. It takes a little time. You don't put it together in 45 minutes.
After Ryan, Trump met with the House Republican leadership. Again, no endorsements, but Cathy McMorris Rodgers, the highest-ranking Republican woman whose child has a disability, said, "It was my first opportunity to discuss and impress upon the presumptive nominee the importance of championing a core value of the Republican Party, dreaming big for everyone and turning its back on no one." The party's embattled chairman, who at one point feared wholesale defections from his fight to win the White House, found reason to finally exhale.
I think it's safe for me to say that there's a heck of a lot more of agreement than any disagreement. And so I sort of just beckon back to Ronald Reagan's quote, which is, you know, my 80% friend is not my 20% enemy. We get that here.
On the Senate side, Trump found full-throated support from Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, who said he'll help Trump identify potential Supreme Court nominees and will continue to encourage Donald to soften some of his rhetoric and always act in a manner worthy of a presidential nominee. Texas Senator John Cornyn declined to endorse but offered advice on immigration, saying, quote, "There is a way to talk about the issues that isn't offensive to people." While many prominent Republicans appear to be warming to Trump, others still say they'll sit out the presidential election, a position New York Rep. Chris Collins, the first member of Congress to endorse Trump, says he just can't understand.
For people, Republicans, to say, I'm not going to vote in this upcoming election, I just am baffled by that.
Donald Trump also met with former Secretary of State James Baker today after Baker sharply criticized Trump's foreign policy in a Senate hearing yesterday. And it looks like Trump is going to be coming back as well. Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers invited Trump to speak to the entire Republican caucus at some point in the future. Trump accepted. Doug?
John Robertson, the Capitol's statutory hall tonight. Thank you, John.